All right, A.J. Miller, the quickest of the bunch there for the M2 Metal Crate late models, actually got it down into the 18-second bracket. And you were pointing out, Todd, that because of the downforce and the very sophisticated suspensions on these late model chassis, they're actually faster than the Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman, even though they're essentially running the same motor.
Yeah, it's basically all downforce and suspension, as you mentioned. But I mean, you can see the cars as they leave the racetrack. Look at the body angles. There's nothing straight on those race cars whatsoever. All set up for aero, all set up for downforce, and that's kind of neat to see. The same motor, different body, different suspension. That'll grab you a second and a half more here at the home of Heroes.
All right, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to formally welcome you to the home of Heroes, Utica-Rome Speedway. On this Friday night, rain dancing around us right now, and hopefully continues to do that for the duration of the evening. Looks like our first heat of Next Generation Graphics Pro Stocks are getting assembled on pit road, so we will begin qualifying, showing
some parts out there, Paul.
Welcome back to FloRacing. Starting lineup for this one: Ryan Denton's 94, Ken Griffin's 25, Hunter Keith with the 14H, Toby Cooper's 4C, Jim Normoyle with the 74N, Ed Kateri's 101, Shane Playford, your winner last Friday night with the 6, and Mike Kozlowskis with the number 15 as we go green. 8 laps the distance. All cars will qualify. Top finishers will redraw for starting spots as we have a battle for the lead coming off turn number 2 and down the backstretch. That's Ryan Denton holding firm on the outside. Going into turn number 3 on the inside, that plain black car has a number 25Y on its roof. That is the Griffin machine. As they come around here at the end of lap number 1, Normoyle slotting into third, side-by-side race for fourth between Playford and the 14H of Hunter Keith as they roll off turn number 2. Playford trying to come through the middle and now has a little bit more room to race on the outside of Griffin. now tries to tiptoe his way to the inside of Normoyle. Denton goes up the racetrack off turn number 4, and all of a sudden that battle for second and third turns into a battle for the race lead here with 1 lap complete so far. So the race lead battle goes into turn number 3. Playford and the Ted's Body Shop sponsored entry slides that white car down on the inside of turns 3 and 4. Normoyle coming around on the outside, side by side. You'll see that a lot in this next generation graphics Pro Stock division. As the pack works off turn number 2, Shane Playford will take over the lead now. Normoyle with the 74N will drop back about a car length here as they work through turns 3 and 4. We're coming to the cross flags this time. We will be halfway through. So Playford carries it back up into turns 1 and 2. The 94 of Denton runs third, followed by Griffin, Keith, and Cooper as the rest of the field. Keith and Cooper battling it out. Cooper in the gold car on the inside lane going into turn number 3. Keith in the blue and white car on the outside, and Keith is able to maintain position here over Cooper as they continue to battle. Meanwhile, in front of them, Griffin closing in on the back end of the number 94 machine of Denton as they roll off turn number 2. Cooper trying to get back down to the inside. Playford continues to lead from Normoyle in second. They have gapped almost a full straightaway over Denton, who again gets crossed up in turn number 4. Gets the car straightened back out, but Griffin gets a good run off turn number 4, starts to draw in on him as the pack works off turn number 2 and heads down the backstretch. White flag is going to be waving as Normoyle takes a peek at the inside of Playford in the battle for the race lead as they work down into turns 1 and 2. Playford will hold on by a car length as they head into turns 3 and 4. And coming down for the checker flag, Normoyle cannot get alongside. He'll have to follow Playford across the line for the win. Normoyle finishes second. Denton, despite an ill-handling race car, finishes third. Griffin will take fourth. Fifth goes to the 14 of Hunter Keith. And the 4 of Cooper completes the finishers here in the first of 2 heats for the Next Generation Graphics Pro Stocks here tonight. So it's Playford, Normoyle, followed by Denton, Griffin, and Keith as your top 5 finishers as we get ready for our second Next Generation Graphics Pro Stock Heat Race.
And here's how they will line up. Paul up on the pole, Cousin Luke. Luke Horning out of Gloversville, New York with the 2H machine. And alongside out of Mohawk, New York, Ray Richards, 44. Row 2 on the inside out of Waterville, New York in the 13. Inside lane starting third, George Cushman. Outside out of Clinton, New York with his number 81, it's Brett Belden. He'll start 4th. Row 3 on the inside out of North Brookfield, New York, Mike Keith aboard the 14K. And outside is A.J. Walters out of Newport, New York. He pilots the 22W. Row 4 on the inside out of Troy, New York, Devin Kamengay's 110. And Eric Stumpf out of Utica aboard the 7S. And wasting no time here off the corner, we are green already. And it'll be Cousin Luke out to that number 1 spot. Ray Richard quickly falls to the back. He'll go second to last in less than a straightaway as they work their way up the back straightaway. So Cousin Luke out in front. Belden slipped up a little bit. He fell back to that number 4 spot with the 81. It'll be the 13 machine. Up into the corner, George Cushman. Cushman to second. Third place race right now is the 22 of A.J. Walters. Walters off the turn. He's got Belden on the outside trying to take a peek. Nothing happening there. So A.J. Walters has that spot. Belden bobbles just a little bit with the 81. Now he'll find some grip up the back straightaway. He's within about 6 feet as they race up the back stretch. Cousin Luke out in front off of turn number 4. Give him about 10 car lengths over the 13 of Cushman as they make their way up the front straightaway. Great battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth as they race to turns 1 and 2. A.J. Walters going to work the top side of the racetrack. Try to get some grip on that right rear with the 22 machine up the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Kamengay, he'll grab a spot up the back stretch, and he'll get by Mike Keith. Off of the corner, second, third, and fourth right together. Belden is there as he tries to work his way up inside of A.J. Walters. He'll work the bottom side of the racetrack this time. Walters likes that semi-high cushion up there in between turns 1 and 2. Cross flags coming out from flagger Troyer as we come off the turn. Halfway down as they work their way to turns 1 and 2. 4 down, 4 to go as they head to the corner. Belden, again, locked to the bottom side of the racetrack. Really can't do anything with the 22 of A.J. Walters, the Newport, New York pilot, up the backstretch running third. Top two kind of tipped away a little bit here, tiptoeing off the turn for Cousin Luke as he comes up the front straightaway. We'll go split screen here on Flo. Leader down to turns 1 and 2, right side of your screen as they head up the back straightaway. About 10 to 12 car lengths on Cushman's 13, another 10 to 12 back to the 22 of A.J. Walters. And then Belden right there for that number 4 spot. Off the corner, Cousin Luke looking good down the front straightaway. 2 to go. 6 down and 2. That makes 8 as they head to turns 1 and 2. Belden going to go through the middle this time, try to change things up with the 81, and that didn't work at all. He'll lose about 3 car lengths up the back straightaway, and he'll stretch that with that 22 machine. Walters 6 car lengths out in front of the 81 of Brett Belden. White flag in the air, 1 to go for Cousin Luke. Luke Horting up the back straightaway. The 2H on rails here as he works his way up the back. Great battle last week between him and the 6 machine of Playford. Coming right to the checkered. This one's going to be an easy one. Cousin Luke off of turn number 4. Luke Horning, Gloversville, New York pilot, will take the win. Cushman there for the number 2 spot. Third place race goes to Walters. Brett Belden 4th. And Devin Kamengay coming up into that number 5 spot. He'll round out the top 5. So Kamengay rounding out the top 5. Mike Keith in 6th. Eric Stump 7th. And Ray Richard will round out the field.
And that'll wrap up the Next Generation Graphics Pro Stock Heat Races. Looks like our Three Bastards Brewing Modified Heat Races are coming up, a pair of those. Again, all cars will transfer into the feature event tonight, and the top finishers will redraw for starting spots in tonight's feature. The pole sitter is going to be the Jason Riel, number 27 on the outside in the 55J, a legend, living legend, AJ Slideways, Alan Johnson. Row 2 on the inside, Eddie Stratus 33, Mike Truchold with the 28 outside that row. Superman Matt Shepard inside row 3 with the 9S. Matt Janzik, your 358 winner last Friday night outside that row. Jim Becker's 9J and the Brandon Walters 22W will make up row number 4. Alex Yankowski, row number 5 with the Ed Downing, number 44C. And it looks like one car coasting to a stop, so we will get a green, followed by a caution flag. As it's trouble, I believe the Downing 44C is the car that rolled to a stop there in turn number 3. He's able to get the machine refired, and we'll hustle it up and come around to the tail of the field. So the pack will double back up here through turns 3 and 4. All right, so we will get a 1 to go signal here as the Downing 44 slots in alongside Yankowski's 84Y outside row number 5. Three Bastards Brewing Modifieds, some 358 Modifieds like the Janza car mixed in, but the Modifieds running up to 467 cubic inches of bored out, 4-barrel carbureted, Sunoco race fuel powered, 700 horsepower, about 24 to 2,500 pounds on racing tires. As they come down here into turn number 4, they'll hit that Sunoco start zone. We go green. Oh, what a shot by Trotchold going into turn number 1. He catches Alan Johnson and Riom napping winds up jumping up into the lead. Janzik way to the outside on the backstretch, 3 wide for a moment going into turn number 3. Look at Janzik ripping the lip up there off turn number 4, trying to wind that 358 cubic inch power plant up for some momentum as Shepard works down to the inside of Ray Ulm. That's the race for third behind Trouchhold, who is gone by half a straightaway over Alan Johnson. They'll work down into turn number 3. Here comes Yankowski trying to get into the mix as Strada's car slides wide. Something broke on the Eddie Strada number 33 coming off turn number 4. The caution flag will wave. His car is going to come to a stop. So the yellow flag waving just 2 laps into this one for Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania's Eddie Strada with the number 33 push truck. Johnny on the spot here to roll him back into the pit area. There's definitely some bite in this racing surface tonight.
That was a wild opening 2 laps.
Yeah.
Mike Trouchhold said, "See ya." Holy cow. This is not the caution he wanted to see. He was checking out.
I'm sure Alan Johnson sitting there behind the wheel was like, wait a minute, where'd this guy come from? So the field doubled back up. We'll get a white flag, which means we'll go green. Again, when we head over into the Sunoco start zone, over in turns 3 and 4.
I'd like to see some more of that.
Yes.
Wild stuff.
So Trouthold, the leader, has the option of lane choice inside or outside. He elects to go on the inside, and if he gets the launch, expect Shepard to try to hook up to his back bumper and follow him from third there in the 9S. The Haas machine off turn number 4, green flag back in the air. 2 of 8 complete here in the first of our 3 Bastards Brewing Modified Heat races. And Trouthold again just launches that car into the lead. Shepard follows through into second. Janzik jumps up to third. 3 wide again going into turn number 3 as Walters and Yankowski go high-low, going by the Johnson 55J, and Yankowski will get the better of that. Remember, he's starting near the back of the field, and he is up into the number 4 position now as they roll off turn number 2. We're closing in on the halfway point. 4 down, 4 to go. Trouthold brings it down off turn number 4. Shepard right behind in hot pursuit. But now Trouthold is actually gapping out a little bit over the Shepard 9S machine. Yankowski looking down to the inside of the Janzik Zielinski's asphalt-sponsored number 33 car. Yankowski in that Wilcox Enterprises machine works the low side off turn number 4. Both of them pick up the left front tire. That's how much bite they're getting in the weight transfer in these cars. As they roll back through turn number 2 and down the backstretch, Yankowski patient on the inside, down into turn number 3, forges a wheel ahead of Janzik. And as they come off turn number 4 with 2 laps to go, Yankowski able to get the job done, moves up into the number 3 spot. That'll drop Yankowski back to 4th with Brandon Walters rounding out the top 5. Now coming down here off turn number 4 is the Downing 44C, slows and heads for the pits. Trouchhold will whistle by him going into turns 1 and 2 for the final time as Mike works his way down the backstretch. He'll enter turns 3 and 4 and come to the checkered flag with the quality sponsor number 28 car winning our first heat of 3 Bastards Brewing Modifieds. Shepard across for second. It's Yankowski third. Jankowski will finish 4th. Brandon Walters will round out the top 5. Johnson in for 6th. Looks like Jim Becker finishing in the number 7 spot, and the 27 of Jason Riom, final car running on the racetrack in 8th.
Well, Paul, if it takes a 4:45 afternoon shower to get that kind of an opening 3 Bastards Brewing Modified heat race for the year, I'll take it every week.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Heat number 2 for the 3 Bastards Brewing Modifieds will line up this way. Brandon Laux out of Bainbridge, New York, up on the pole with car number 23. On the outside out of New Berlin, he'll start second. In the 8M, it's Tim Main. Row 2 on the inside of Genoa, New York with the 82S, it's Will Shields. And alongside starting fourth outside of row number 2, in his number 4 out of Walden, New York, it's Anthony Perego. Row 3 on the inside out of Canandaigua with the 78, it's Alex Payne. Alan Barker lines up alongside in row number 3. He'll start 6th out of Norwich, New York with the 77. Row 4, the Flying Squirrel. It's Rocky Warner as we get ready to come off the corner. We are green. 8 laps the distance here for the Three Bastards Brewing Modifieds. They head to turn number 1. Tim Main will take the early lead up the back straightaway. Perego takes a look to the outside of Brandon Laux up the back straightaway, and he will take over the number 2 spot. Anthony Perego works the top side of the racetrack. Now back to the bottom. He will swing to the inside. What a move. Didn't quite make it work as he goes to battle with the number 8 car of Tim Main. Main on the outside. He'll shut the door on the 4 of Perego. Perego settles for the number 2 spot momentarily as they head to turn number 3. He'll work high to low. He'll try to diamond the corner off the turn. It is the number 8. Out in front, Tim Main, the New Berlin pilot, heads to turn 1 with a rear view mirror full of Anthony Perego. Perego tries the bottom again, shuts the door on him. Main going everywhere Perego wants to be. Meanwhile, up the back straightaway, up in that number 3 spot, Brandon Laux, your pole sitter, there for the number 3 position as they come off the corner. Tim Main flexing the muscle down into 1 and 2. He'll pull out to a 3 or 4 car length advantage as they head up the back straightaway, make it 6 or 7 car lengths over Perego. Great run for the New Berlin, New York pilot, Tim Main, that bright number 8 out in front as he comes off of turn number 4. Perego there for the number 2 position. Oh, and he got one in trouble. Up off of turn number 4, it is the 77 of Alan Barker. Barker in trouble on the outside of the racetrack, and I thought he just got up over the berm, and it looks to be maybe something a little more on the 77. We'll take a look as he comes by here on the front straightaway. The Barker 77 will stay on the track. We thought he was headed out. Looks like all 4 corners are up. We'll go to the FloRacing replay and see what we can see here. Went up high and just lost it up over the berm and got way out there. Lucky to bring it back. Good piece of driving from Alan Barker. So he'll fall to the tail end of the field as he brought out the caution. Tim Main doing a great job out front here, holding Anthony Perego off. Brandon Laux started first. He runs 3rd. And then it's Alex Payne. Alex Payne out of Canandaigua, New York with the 70A, as that pilot has been through a lot here this year. Sponsorships moving around, cars going away, picking up a ride. It's been a wild first few weeks for Alex Payne. He finds himself outside of row number 2 with the 70. 4 down, 4 to go. Tim Main, Anthony Perego make up row number 1. Taylor looking him over, green flag in hand. Three Bastards Brewing Modifieds once again off the corner. Good start for Perego. Can he make it work? He's got the momentum. Yes, sir. And he will shut the door on the 8. And the 8 goes up the hill, pushing like a dump truck. He'll lose 3 spots up the back straightaway. Make that 2, my apologies, as he settles into the number 3 position. He's got Alex Payne with him. Another one up over the banking. And that looks like Rocky Warner. Caution's out. The Flying Squirrel takes it for a loop up over the banking, facing the woods in between turns 3 and 4. And he will refire the JSR 98. FloRacing replay. They were 3 wide in front of him as he's following Alex Payne up the back straightaway into turn number 3. Payne goes to the outside. Rocky tried to go even higher, and it wasn't going to happen. Right rear did not grip as he goes off towards the gin weeds. So Warner will fall to the tail end. The JSR sponsored entry to the rear. Parks Company's involved in that machine. And he brought some brought a tree branch with him underneath the car. Safety crew taking care of that, giving that a little yeet over top of the wall. Picking up sticks down in the corner that were caught underneath the Rocky Warner 98. Something you don't see every day.
Yeah, Rocky getting into a little forestry apparently.
As if he doesn't have enough work.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, folks, don't forget to grab your 50/50 tickets. By the way, our ticket sellers are making their way through the grandstands here. Throughout the course of the evening, half the money we collect goes into the Driver Point Fund. It's a great way to support your favorite drivers. And the other half we're going to give away, but you can't win it unless you have a ticket. So make sure you grab a 50/50 ticket and get in on that. Maybe go home with a little extra cash here this evening.
I try to donate to the cause weekly. I got a couple in my pocket right now. So.
Yep.
So the branches are taken care of down there in turn number 4. Rocky Warner is tacked on to the tail end of the field as we are ready to get back to it. Tim Main up on top of this one. And this is a caution he wanted to see because that brings Anthony Perego back to him. Main had a horrible restart last time. This time he takes right off and he will just stretch it out down into turns 1 and 2. He's got about 2 car lengths off the corner. Oh, here comes Perego. Want to move on the top side of the racetrack. He couldn't make it work. It would not stick. Alex Payne there for the number 3 position. 4th place races Laux in between the turns. Alex Payne's going to make a bid for the number 2 spot. He'll work the bottom side-by-side battle, but it's Perego prevailing in the number 2 spot. They head to turn 1. Payne back to the top, trying to make things work on Perego. They'll settle in. The 8 of Maine, the 4 of Perego, the 70 of Alex Payne, top 3. Single file formation for the top 4 as they work their way up into turns 1 and 2. And again, it's Maine flexing the muscle with that number 8 car. Aside from that bobble a few laps ago, he has ran a perfect race. He has put that big red number 8 everywhere Anthony Perego wants to race. Up the front stretch they go. White flag, 1 to go as they head to turn 1. Alex Payne giving the 4 of Perego all kinds of fits. He's found some moisture on the inside and he'll draw close up the back straightaway. He's about 4 car lengths off the 4 car. Checkered flag in the air out of New Berlin, New York. Tim Main with the number 8 will take the win. Anthony Perego finishes right there for that number 2 spot. Alex Payne 3rd. Brandon Laux in 4th. Willie Decker rounds out the top 5. So your 3 Bastards Brewing Modified Heat Race number 2 winner, Tim Main. Anthony Perego 2nd, Alex Payne 3rd, Brandon Laux is 4th, Willie Decker 5th, followed by Will Shields, Alan Barker, Rocky Warner, and John Phelps.
And we get ready to segue into the Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman, a trio of heat races for them. It looks like all cars will move on to the feature event here this evening. And again, the top finishers will redraw for starting positions. Here's the lineup for the first of the 3 Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman Heats. Connor Prokop's 12P and the Matthew Richardson 262 on row 1. The Zach Welch 67W and Buddy Leathley with the 37X, row 2. Row 3, Clayton Dumont's 314 and Eric Jensen's 57. 4th row, Jeremy Slosik with the 16S. Dave Constantino scheduled to be there with the 7, then Blaine Klinger with the 9K, and Mike Richmond scheduled to be your final starter with the 22X. Looks like one car, though, not able to answer the call. They hit the start zone in turn number 4. Green flag waves, and they'll charge down into turns 1 and 2 following Connor Prokop. Matthew Richardson goes wide in turn number 2, and Zach Welch in the white and green number 67 moves up into the number 2 spot. Here comes the battle for 3rd. Buddy Leathley rolling on the outside here off turn number 4, trying to get by Slosik, but he has a lane full of the Richardson 262 as they roll into turns 1 and 2. Constantino trying to get into the mix along with the 22X of Richmond as they head down the backstretch and work toward turn number 3. Constantino in the black DKM number 7 able to get by the Leathley machine as Blaine Klinger tries to move in now with the green, white, and pink numbered number 9 as they roll off turn number 2. Zach Welch with the 67 meanwhile is within 2 car lengths of your race leader going into turn number 3. Prokop, the driver out of Middleburg, New York, goes a little wide off turn number 4, trying to keep the momentum up. That's key with these GM 602 crate motors. They don't have a ton of horsepower. Yellow flag is waving, so caution on the racing surface. Trouble in turn number 4. Mike Richmond has spun it out off the top of turn number 4. Did not make it out into the brambles, so to speak. So no sticks underneath that car, and he will go ahead and roll it back onto the racing surface. We'll check the FloRacing replay. He was battling behind the lethally 37X. Actually got over the bank in turn number 3 and went for the long slide before it came to a stop in the grass up at the top of turn number 4.
It is really, really wet over there.
Yes.
Extremely wet over there.
Yeah. Yeah, you will go faster on wet grass than you will on tacky dirt. The problem is, on wet grass, you have zero control of the car.
It is the slide for life.
I liken it to driving on ice with bald tires.
Wow. That's not advisable.
No. All right, field is formed up, and we are ready for a restart. 3 of 8 laps complete as we get the green in the start zone off turn number 4. Prokop will go back to work here at the head of the class. Slosik to the inside of Welch, and a battle for the 2 spot as Richardson will follow Slosik off turn number 2. Still side by side for that second spot going into turn number 3. Slosik keeping her working on the bottom lane here as he rolls off turn number 4. Welch trying to keep momentum up on the outside as he cruises in behind the Prokop number 12. We're halfway home, 4 down, 4 left to go. Back off turn number 2, Welch with the 67 is able to muscle his way back in front of the Slosik number 16, but Jeremy is not giving up with that Dayglow green machine working the inside lane here off turn number 4. The Christian Fabrication car wants the number 2 spot, and Zach Welch wants the race lead in the Ted's Body Shop 67W as he steps up side by side into turn number 3 with the 12 of Prokop as they work their way down off turn number 4. So Welch takes the lead from the Prokop machine as they work off turn number 2 and head down the backstretch. White flag will wave here for the Welch number 67 as he is now gapped out on the Prokop machine as they head down the backstretch for the final time. The gap looks like it's about 3 or 4 car lengths as they'll come rolling down off turn number 4. Checkered flag will wave over the 67W of Zach Welch. He will pick up the heat race win in the first heat for the Taylor's Trailers. Great 602 Sportsman here tonight. Prokop finishes second, Slosik in for third. 4th spot will go to the Richardson number 262. And rounding out the top 5 will be Dave Constantino with the number 7. So that's the first of 3 heat races for the Taylor's Trailers. Grade 602 Sportsman here this evening. Heat number 2 getting ready to make its way out on track.
So heat 2 getting ready to roll. Here's how we're going to line them up. Row 1 on the inside. On the pole out of Baldwinsville, New York, the 82H is David Hackett. Alongside out of Waterville with the number 11 is Nick Zielinski. Row 2 finds Matt Perry's number 74, and alongside the 9 is Tyler Pete. Row 3, Blake Sapricone, 69, and Peyton Talbot with the 14T, the South Berlin, New York driver. John Dumont starts inside of row number 4 out of Rotterdam Junction with the 31. Stephen Windsor alongside with the 78. Stephen Denton inside of row number 5. And lordy, look who's 40, Josh Amodio. Happy birthday. He'll start shotgun on the field. So stacked up and ready to go here for Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 heat race number 2. You'd think on your birthday you can start further up than last, but here we go for Josh Amodio, the new Hartford, New York driver, celebrating his birthday today, 40 years of age, as he starts shotgun with that Dayglow yellow number 2 entry, yellow and black car. Hackett and Zielinski make up row number 1. 2x2 formation midway up the back straightaway as we get ready for heat race number 2 for the Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman. This is heat 2 of 3. 30 Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman here on the grounds. Hackett, Zielinski make up row 1 as we get ready to go green, and we indeed do up the front straightaway, side by side, 2x2. As they race to turns 1 and 2. Zielinski top side of the racetrack. Can he grab that early race lead? We're 3 wide behind him with Peyton Talbot down the middle. And it will be the number 11 of Zielinski up into turns 1 and 2. Barely with that number 1 spot. He'll work the top side of the racetrack. Hackett to the bottom. A good side-by-side battle. With the momentum prevail? Yes, it will up into the corner. But the 82 right there. Hackett down on the inside of the racetrack, making the bottom work. Third place races Tyler Pete. He's got a trunk full of the 14 of Peyton Talbot as they go to turn 1. Top 4 right together off the corner. Great battle for the number 1 spot. Both lanes working well. Zielinski is going to shut the door here, though, and he will take that number 1 spot as we are 2 down and 6 to go into the corner. So Pete there for the number 3 position. He'll work the bottom as Hackett opened the door up the back straightaway. Side-by-side battle for that number 2 spot, and Pete will shove it right in there. Slide job across the nose of David Hackett's machine, and it worked. He'll take sole possession of position number 2. Hackett there for 3rd. Peyton Talbot, last week's winner, there for that number 4 spot with the 14. Coming across flags, it'll be 2 to go here this time. As Talbot in his own machine, he had some things happen in the offseason, put him back in the house car as he rides 4th up the front straightaway. Zielinski up into the turn. Nick Zielinski's 11Z, top side of the racetrack. Pete now coming on up the back straightaway. Tyler Pete, the Pennsylvania driver, works his way down in between turns 3 and 4 to the bottom. He's a little bit faster than Zielinski. He's going to make this a race. Front stretch, they run into turns 1 and 2. He is there. Tyler Pete works the bottom side. Side-by-side battle up the back straightaway. Really making the bottom work. Zielinski tried to pinch him off the turn and kill his momentum. Down in between 3 and 4, the 9 goes to the bottom. The 11 pinching him off as he should. Takes half of his lane away off the corner. And Zielinski with 2 to go holds on to it. Pete now will go top to bottom, swapping lanes with the number 9 machine. Up the back straightaway. A little bit of moisture there for the 9, but can't quite pull it off as he follows Zielinski into turn 3. Meanwhile, David Hackett loves this. He says, you guys mess around because I'm coming. So Zielinski to the middle of the racetrack. Pete works the outside this time. They swap lanes. White flag, 1 to go. Who's going to get it? David Hackett joins the chat off of turn number 2. He's right there in the top 3. Here's the battle. Who's going to get it up the back straightaway? Tyler Pete says, I'll take the top side. Pete to the top side around Zielinski. Can he make it stick off the corner? He can. Pete, last lap pass, and he will take home heat race number 2 victory with the Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman. What a race for Tyler Pete. 3rd to 1st, and it took all the laps to get there. So Tyler Pete, the Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania driver, coming up with that number 1 spot. He'll win the Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 heat race number 2. And here's how they finished. Zielinski there for the number 2 spot. Hackett for 3rd. Peyton Talbot in 4th. Matt Perry 5th. Followed by John Dumont, Stephen Denton, Stephen Windsor, Blake Sapricone, and Josh Amodio.
Heat race number 3 for the Taylor's Trailers Crate Sportsman, ready to roll out on the track here in a moment. Looks like a little smoke coming off of the Perry number 74 here down the front stretch. Noticed that over the last couple of laps at his race, and he is basically limping at about half speed here. One of the four-wheelers is going to see if he needs assistance to get that car back to the pits, which he will. So good timing there to get him back to the pit area, but bad break for the driver of the number 74, Matt Perry out of Braun Albin. Here's the lineup for the final Taylor's Trailers Crate 602 Sportsman Heat race. Seth Martin out of Schoharie with the 621 comes from pole outside the front row out of Fort Johnson. Josh Coonrat with the 00X. The Ed Lucas 77L, Tanner Warner 78W are row 2. Row 3, Brett Mortensen with 1B, and the Matthew Backus 52M. Row 4 is the Eric Windsor 79. Carson Roswell with the number 4. Then the 1C of Paul Carey and AJ Digsby with the 10A will round out the starting field. Green means go off turn number 4, a little scattered at the start, but everybody gets it back together as they charge down into turns 1 and 2. Off the outside of the front row, Coonrad will grab the lead. Lucas is going to battle with Tanner Warner here for the number 3 spot. And one car in trouble on the inside of turn number 2 will bring out the caution flag here as they come around off turn number 4. We will complete lap number 1 as we go yellow. Can't quite see the number of that car from our vantage point. And now we get a better look at it. It is the Paul Carey number 1 seat. It looks like there might be some front end damage on that PF Carey Excavating sponsored entry. So tow truck already on the scene backing up to him here to get him hooked up. Gives us a moment to say a thank you to some of the great sponsors that are part of our Home of Heroes racing family, including the folks from Online Performance Parts, NBT Bank, Next Generation Graphics, Greg Ellinger, the folks from Palmer Service Center, Ralph's, and FX Cabrera Car Companies, along with the folks from Clinton Collision and Clinton Tractor, as well as Online Performance Parts, Next Generation Graphics, Dick Race Products, Certified Auto Outlet, and our friends from Forward Sand and Gravel. Reminder, next Friday night here at Utica-Rome Speedway, bring some dollar bills with you, not just for the 50-50. It's going to be dollar hot dog night here next Friday night, courtesy of our friends from Next Generation Graphics and Finish Line Designs. The Slingshots, the Ted's Body Shop All-Star Slingshots, and the Diaz Aviation Junior Slingshots will be back with us running on the inner track, as well as our regular divisions here on the half-mile racing will start at 7 o'clock. You can find out more about Utica-Rome Speedway, including the full schedule of events. That includes the Kubota High Limit Racing Series, by the way, coming up on May 17th. That's all at UticaRomeSpeedway.com. All right, so with the field coming down off turn number 4, we are ready to go green once again. The back charges off into turns 1 and 2. Seth Martin trying to hold on to the lead, but second verse might be same as the first. Coonrad around the outside, and we'll go side by side with the leader down the backstretch. Lucas and Warner resume that battle for the number 3 spot as they carry around turn number 4. Outside lane for Coonrad got a little sketchy coming off turn number 4, and here comes Lucas trying to make him pay down on the bottom lane. As they roll through turns 1 and 2, Martin will hold on to the lead. The battle will now be for the number 2 spot as Lucas works down to the inside of Coonrad in that black 00X car. As they come off turn number 4, they're going to be side by side as they roll down into turn number 1. Coonrad holding on to that cushion. The groove has gotten a lot wider. It's farther and farther out there on that outside lane. You really got to keep the RPMs up to be able to make hay on the top groove in these great 602 Sportsman cars. And Lucas, with a shorter distance around the racetrack, winds up rolling into the number 2 position. That's going to drop Coonrad back to 3rd behind the 621 of Seth Martin as Martin leads the pack down into turns 3 and 4. Halfway through this time, 4 laps down, 4 remain. The 621 of Martin stretching it out. Meanwhile, the Carson Rothwell number 4 has worked his way up into 5th. Ahead of him is Brett Mortensen. Celebrated a birthday a couple of weeks ago in the 1B, and Mortensen is trying to hook himself to the back bumper of the 78 of Tanner Warner as they are separated by about a car length now, working down into turns 1 and 2. Mortensen going to step up to that outside lane, trying to get it done off the second corner, looking for a little extra bite. Not quite there as they go into turn number 3. Gets a little closer, but flares way to the outside, up over the edge of the banking in turn number 4, and that allows Rothwell with some momentum to close in on him and jump down to the inside lane here in turns 1 and 2 on lap number 6. Battle for position here within the top 5 as they roll down into turn number 3. Race leader Martin gets the white flag this time by. It is still Lucas Akunrat second and third. Mortensen holding on, or Warner holding on to the position behind them. And Mortensen is able to best Rothwell as the 621 of Seth Martin will make his way around off turn number 4. He will pick up the checkered flag and win in the final Taylor's Trailers Grade 602 Sportsman Heat Race. So Martin picking up the win. Lucas finishes second, Coonrad third. Fourth goes to Tanner Warner. Mortensen will round out the top 5. And it looks like in for the number 6 spot would be Rothwell, followed by Dixby, Backus, and Windsor. And then Carey, unfortunately, with the issues in turn number 2, was a DNF. All right, so we shift gears now and we go to the same type of race car, same exact type of race car, but drivers with limited experience in the Fast Line Performance Crate 602 Limited Sportsman Division. And they will have a pair of qualifying heat races.
And the first one of those pair make their way to the racing surface. Brad Poppleton up on the pole out of Vernon, New York with his number 60, alongside Timmy Wilmot out of Fort Plain with the 14W. Row 2 on the inside, Aiden Goodyear out of Oneida, New York with the 56, and Andrew Eaton out of Vernon Center with the 55. It'll be Nicholas Jenkins, Jaden Woost making up row number 3. Woost was fastest in practice earlier. Garrett Shalat, the winner from last week out of Springbrook, Pennsylvania with a 349. And Rocco Constantino out of Fonda with the 44R will round out the field. And a car change for Rocco Constantino, not the 44R, it's the 7. 7 of Constantino out of Fonda. We had listed the 44, but he has swapped cars. He's in the 7 machine, the DKM sponsored entry. So Brad Poppleton, Timmy Wilmot up on row number 1, getting ready here for the Fast Line Performance Limited Sportsman Heat 1, 6 laps the distance. And these are drivers with a little bit of experience here, but not quite ready for the Taylor's Trailers 602 crates. Fastline Performance Limited Sportsman off the turn. And Timmy Wilmot takes the early lead up off of turn number 2 as they work their way up the back straightaway. Big push across the racetrack for Brad Poppleton. He could not get that car to turn, and it took 3 acres to make it happen in between turns 1 and 2. So it happens again. That car will not rotate whatsoever for the driver of the 60, as everybody doing a great job to avoid. Jaden Woost up into the turn. He rides third with that bright 43. He'll gather it back in up into the number 3 spot. 4th place race up the backstretch. Garrett Shalat out of Springbrook, Pennsylvania, last week's winner with a 349 as he works his way down in between the corners. Aiden Goodyear with the 56 follows the 349 up the back straightaway. So Shalat there for the number 4 position as he takes a look to the inside of the Woost 43. Looking at halfway this time. Up off the corner. And it's going to be Timmy Wilmot from the drop of the green. It's been all the Wilmot 14. 4 or 5 car length advantage up the back straightaway. As the top 4 equidistant in between turns 3 and 4. Fast Line Performance Limited Sportsman drivers doing a great job getting that seat time, logging those laps so that they can move up in the ranks. Boost got a little high between turns 1 and 2, and that'll allow the 349 of Garrett Shalat to draw in just a little bit in between turns 3 and 4. Shalat now looks to the bottom. He may have a run here off the corner as he looks to the bottom of the 43 of Woost. And Woost has fallen into the clutches of the 349 car. Good battle now for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th under the white flag. And as it was from the start, Timmy Wilmot will finish off where he started, out in that number 1 spot. So give him the Fast Line Performance Limited Sportsman heat race win. Andrew Eaton will finish in the number 2 spot. And here's your rundown. Timmy Wilmot takes the win. Andrew Eaton there for the number 2 spot. Jaden Woost, 3rd. Garrett Shalott, 4th. Aiden Goodyear in 5th. Nicholas Jenkins, Rocco Constantino, and Brad Poppleton round out the field as we get ready for our second of 2 Fastline Performance Limited Sportsman Heat Races. Got one way off, and boy, I'll tell you what, that car is folded up down there. I could not see it from the tower, but Flo has picked up a car way down in turn number 4. Is that Poppleton down there? It is.
Yeah, and it looks like
wow.
he's given the thumbs up inside the car to the official, so he's okay. But the car is definitely not. I think he caught the end of the wall over there in turn number 4, and the tow trucks are already the tow truck is already backing up to hook up to him here. So when they pick the front end of this car up, we'll get an idea of how extensive the damage is to the Poppleton machine.
Yeah, we'll get an idea whether or not he'll tack on to the end of the Fastline Performance Limited Sportsman feature or be putting it in the trailer as they are working the winch now on that tow truck. Let's see what we can find out. The left front is completely detached, and they just set it on top of the car.
Yeah, I don't know if it knocked the center out of the hub or not. It looks like it did.
Sheared right off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got damage all the way up the left front corner beyond where the tire used to be.
Remember, we talked about the driver that was really just couldn't make that car turn. That's him. And obviously, this ended in the worst way possible for Brad Poppleton, who started on the pole with the 60. Working to make sure that the officials down there with the tow truck don't do any further damage to that machine. They're actually having to back down to loosen the right front off the wall. This thing's ugly. Right front's folded right in. About a pound of grass up inside the nose. The official down there actually trying to rock the car.
Yeah, might be stuck.
Yeah,
might be stuck in gear. There we go. Now we got it. They run a 3-speed transmission in these in the Sportsman and the Modifieds. You have a reverse gear that's just for backing up. You have a low gear that's just for getting the car rolling. Then you shift it over into the high gear, and the gear ratio depends on what you put in the quick change rear end on these. You can change the gears, put more gear in, take gear out, depending on the size and the condition of the racetrack that you're running on.
Yeah, it's basically a low and go, and you really want to wind out that low before you shift to go into that higher gear. Right side of the car doesn't look too bad. Left side, well, of course, that left front sheared right off there. But tough break. He had an awful time trying to get that Sportsman to turn down in the corner and ended in the worst way possible here.
All right, let's look for heat number 2 now for the Fastline Performance Limited Sportsman. Jeff Boblins 1B, Matt Bukavens 36, row 1. Row 2, Sullivan Dickey's 54, Kyle Coley 0. Caden D. Pasquale with the 44D, Hayden Coons with the 12 will be row 3. Ernie Stalins with the 17S and the Mike Evans 12E will complete the field. 6 laps the distance. Everybody qualifies for the feature. The top finishers redraw for starting position. Green flag waves. Second heat of the Fastline Performance Limited Sportsman on their way up into turn number 2. Down the backstretch, there's Coons with the number 12 trying to make an early move here. Looks like he jumps to the inside of the 0 of Coley, and that'll move him into the 4th spot. As they come off turn number 4, it is the 1B of Boblin who is leading here at the end of lap number 1, though, and he opened up a pretty comfortable margin over a battle for second that's starting to develop down into turn number 3. Meanwhile, Coons pulling away from the 44D of Caden D. Pasquale. And then, as I say that, the announcer's curse rears its ugly head. He goes spinning off the racetrack in turn number 4, and that'll bring out the caution flag. Darn it, shouldn't have talked good about him.
Back into the trees, Paul.
Yeah. Able to fire the car up under his own power. They'll go ahead and roll it back up on the racing surface. got down to the bottom in turn number 3, and then the front end of that car just something I think wasn't quite right, because it just went straight on him. And he wound up spinning around in the grass. Didn't make contact with anything, though, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, middle of the corner, the car is in complete yaw, looking great.
Yeah.
And then the steering goes straight, and he goes straight off the turn. Wow. Now, Paul, we talked about moving up here, and I'll go quickly because we're going to go green. The Zero of Kyle Coley was in a 4-cylinder last year. But this is how you move up. This is how you learn. And that white car, driver of the Zero, from a 4-cylinder ride up to a limited sportsman and learning as he goes.
All right, ready to get back underway. 2 of 6 laps complete. They'll come to the start zone down in turn number 4 with Sullivan Dickey on the outside of the race leader, but once again, Boblin will grab the advantage going into turns 1 and 2. D. Pasquale trying to go around the outside of the Vukovan number 36 as they head down the backstretch, but Vukovan is able to get away from him as they roll down into turns 3 and 4. The cross flags come up, so we are halfway through. Boblin leads them down into turn number 1, has a comfy gap of about a second over the 54 of Sullivan Dickey as they roll down the backstretch into turn number 3. And on the outside, the blue number 12, that's actually Mike Evans with the blue number 12 is Hayden, or Mike Evans, I should say. That should be the 12E, the blue number 12. So we had a pair of 12s in the field here for this one. Having some issues at the back of the field, but he gets himself straightened out. White flag is going to wave for the Boblin number 1B. And he'll take that CT-sponsored machine off turn number 2. And trouble in turn number 2, but caution will wave with the checkered flag. And Boblin will wind up getting the win. Looks like that might be the Ernie Stalin 17S that went skating off the track up there at the top of turn 2. And Boblin picks up the win in our final heat race here for the Fast Line Performance Limited Sportsman category. Now Ernie able to fire his car back up without any issues, so he'll be able to get that one back to the pit area. So it was Boblin, the winner, Dickey second, Vukovan third, D. Pasquale fourth, and Coley fifth. Kuhn sixth, Evans seventh, followed by Stalins in the number 17. All right, so all of our qualifying heat races for tonight are completed. And I believe next up on the docket should be tonight's 4-cylinder feature presented by JB's Sewer and Septic, scheduled for 15 laps. I believe there is also a 15-minute time limit on the race. And we will step aside for those of you watching on FloRacing. More to come here from Utica-Rome.